Thank you, Jerry. Before I get into the detail of Warehouse Insight and how it's benefited us, I'd like to give you a very quick potted history of who we are, what we do. Yeo Valley, as you may already know, is a dairy products manufacturer based in the southwest of England, and we have sites dotted up and down the A38 and M5 throughout Somerset and Devon. We have 4 main production sites in the southwest, and the site where I'm based at Isleport, which is our supply chain hub, deals with the finished goods, roughly 110,000 square feet of refrigeration spread across 3 separate buildings. And we're dispatching up to 7,800, nearly 8,000 pallets per week on a 24/7 basis. So I suppose the question is, what has Warehouse Insight actually done for us? With the greatest respect, it's very easy to listen to Jerry tell you the potential benefits, what he feels it can or may do for you in your situation. But what has it actually done for a company who's had the system installed for us? Well, the answer is some very, very real benefits. Jerry uses the phrase, it does exactly what it says on the tin, and I think that's very, very true in our case. Firstly, we've seen a reduction in our reach truck requirement in the building we've had the system installed in. We've seen that reduction from 3 to 2 reach trucks, and this in turn has manpower benefits because each of those trucks will have a person sat on there for the duration of the day, and as I said, we're a 24/7 business, so that benefit is potentially multiplied fourfold. Also, our counterbalance trucks in that building, we've got 2 in use, but we've now established we can reduce to 1 with some rescheduling, with some little flattening of our profiles. Again, that will have a real benefit with regard to manpower costs, but also when the time comes to renew the fleet, we can actually question, do we need that capital expenditure on that piece of equipment? Is that actually necessary? And we're now able to glean some very real information to question that, whereas before we probably wouldn't have had the ability to question that, and our purchases would have been based on previous numbers instead of actual facts. The remaining trucks that we have, they're better utilised as the data is easily accessible and is factual. Pick face utilisation. Our warehouse is a very, very manual process when it comes to picking. We've been able to understand the areas where most of the activity is contained and lay out our warehouse accordingly to help establish a more effective way of picking. Every pallet within the warehouse now is more accurately accounted for, and embarrassing as it is to say, this wasn't previously always the case. We've come and done manual stock checks periodically, and we found pallets in the wrong place, pallets that shouldn't actually be there, and lo and behold, pallets that we should have that are no longer with us. That no longer exists. Every pallet is traced the whole way through its life on arrival with us and through the locations in the racking. And also some other softer benefits, accident investigation. We've used Warehouse Insights on 2 accident investigations, which in itself has proved very useful when trying to establish and support statements from operatives. And I'm not saying that the operatives necessarily gave false statements, but what it did, where sometimes our memory tends to slip or we don't remember things clearly because of the nature of the incident, it's allowed us to plot an accurate breadcrumb trail of where a particular truck was at a particular time, and it's aided with those investigations. And it's also worked to the point where we have the system in one of our sheds, where in the other sheds where we don't yet have the system, we've had people reporting near misses and damage incidents, thinking that they're already visible on the system. So we've naturally got that benefit as a spin-off already from having Warehouse Insight in one of our buildings. And when the installation took place, the team from Harland Simon, Jerry's team, they worked around our business requirements. We didn't have to bend to their requirements saying they'd like to close some dispatch bays or close some pick aisles or stop us doing our day-to-day work. They worked around the slots in our work schedule, and that's very important. I'm sure all of us in similar businesses have had contractors on site where we've had to bend around them. Well, this isn't the case with Harland Simon. They were very flexible around our requirements. The system itself, since it's been in, has been incredibly reliable. The downtime has been minimal, and I think that's a key aspect of this system. Is it's no good having this all-singing, all-dancing system that traces your products for 24/7. If it keeps breaking down and you have breaks in continuity, it won't deliver what you need it to. Warehouse Insight is incredibly reliable. It's also safer as a system for us to have within our own operation. Our operatives are not leaning out of the cab to scan pallets of product. Those of you that have fork truck drivers working for you may know that it's a bit of a cardinal sin to have your operatives leaning out to scan products. Their limbs should be contained within the confines of the cab at all times. With this system, there's no need to manually scan. The camera is based on the truck in a position where it can scan automatically, and therefore it's safer for the operative because they're contained within the cab, and it's also actually quicker. Excuse me. When the system was introduced, and I think this is a good testament, it was welcomed by nearly all the staff. They could see the benefits when we were able to tell them what the system would do and how it would work, and that's not always the case. Now, I have said nearly all the staff. Certainly we're not in a position where we can please all of the people all of the time. I'm sure there's probably one or two people who work for us that if we gave them a wage rise would view that with cynicism. But it certainly pleased all of the nearly all the staff. But what would happen now if we threatened to take it away? They all would not want to work without it now, every single one of them. So I think that in itself proves how much the system does benefit us as a company, as a management team, and as the operative. So collaboratively, it delivers everything we need it to. So what are the next steps? I'm telling you that I think the system is great. I'm telling you we've got it in one building. What are the next steps for us with Warehouse Insight? Well, as I talk to you now, we're rolling it across the other two cold stores as we speak. It is being installed. We're that pleased with it. If it wasn't delivering what we expected it to, what Jerry told us it would deliver, we certainly wouldn't be rolling it out any further, but we are. We're going to make it capture our dispatch activity as well. When we're actually loading the product onto our customers' lorry, onto third-party hauliers' lorries, we will be capturing that activity as well. And that's a key point for us, that's a key benefit. If any of you have ever been into a meeting with a haulier where you're dealing with claims for pallet crossovers, pallet misdirects, quite often it's whoever turns up with the best information, the most accurate information, they're the person that wins the claims meeting. Warehouse Insight will give us that and will make my job personally so much easier and again bring another benefit to our company. And I think another sort of final proof that this system is as good as it says, as good as Jerry tells us it is. We are frugal farmers. We are proposing a new build within our supply chain complex, a much larger building than we've ever looked at investing in before. And it was never even questioned by anyone in the senior management team within the Yeo Valley supply chain. Warehouse Insight will be factored in without any question, without any challenge. We've all seen what it can and will do for us, and we all know that it is going to deliver everything, as Jerry says, that it says on the tin. So it is already factored in as part of the capital cost for that build project that Warehouse Insight will be installed and delivered as part of that next phase of our supply chain development. So if I was to put an assimilation now, I always like to put assimilations to situations. If I put an assimilation to Warehouse Insight to us in Yeo Valley, I'm going to put a sporting analogy. We've always progressed in Yeo Valley. We've always strived to improve, to look to do things more efficiently, better, slicker, more accurately. We've always strived to be better than ever. And in sport, in the high jump, we saw a continual progression of the world records progressing throughout the last 100, 120 years or so. During that time, some small step changes were seen, some improvements were seen, and that's very similar to us. We've strived to improve. We've made some changes, some are smaller, some are bigger. We've always kept on moving. Standing still is actually going backwards in our industry, as I'm sure you will know. Then in 1968, the Fosbury flop came along in the high jump, a high jump technique for anyone who doesn't know, and we saw a remarkable step change at that point in the performance of high jumpers overall throughout the world. And I think it's fair to say that Warehouse Insight has been that step change for us on managing our bulk product movements. We've never been able to make such an advancement so quickly in such a short space of time. And I think if I was to leave you with anything, I would leave you with that it has given us the step change on that part of our business that we so dearly needed. Thank you very much for your time.